So we're back for day 2 of pond exploration. Today I thought I would hop in the kayak and take a look of all the different sections of the pond. Maybe what's living underneath in the different sections of the pond. So for today's exploration, I'm just using a few glass jars and my field guide. And my hope is that we'll be able to paddle around and I'll take a few scoops in my jar and we'll be able to let the water settle and we'll actually be able to see. Millie, come back, please. Look, she's over there hiding. Millie, come. Yeah, you don't want to be out here alone. Come on. Ah. She's trying to run inside. Boop the kids. Say boop, I love you. We'll put you away. So what we're going to hope to do today is collect some pond water. We'll wait for it to settle, and then we will actually get to see what is in maybe the sand at the bottom and the water on the top. If you're going to do this at your beach or at your lake or at your pond, you should also bring along a magnifying glass, because a lot of what we're going to see is teeny tiny, but I'm just going to use the magnification and the zoom on the phone. All right, so we'll meet you down at the lake, down at the pond. So here we have over and under a pond, and you can see the grown-up and the child in their kayak. Technically, I guess it's a canoe, judging by her paddle. And this book is written by Kate Messner, and the illustrations are by Christopher Neal. There, look at all those fish. Over and under the pond. Over the pond we slide, splashing through lily pads, sweeping through reeds. The water's a mirror reflecting the sky, sunshine and clouds, then a shadow below. What's down there? I ask. Under the pond, Mom says. Under the pond is a whole hidden world of minnows and crayfish, turtles and bullfrogs. We are paddling over them right now. So to the turtles and the fish, this is what I look like in my kayak, right? They just look up and see the bottom of my boat. Over the pond, we skim past the tall rushes, whirligig beetles loop and twirl, skaters on a warm summer surface. Under the pond, minnows dart through waving forests of grass, while a brook trout lurks, ready to lunge. Over the pond, we lift and dip and pull past a row of painted turtles. They are sitting on a waterlogged tree. 1, 2, 3. They slip off and away. Splash, gurgle, sploosh under the pond. Over the pond, cattails rustle and shush in the wind. Listen close. Cuckleree! Cuckleree! Red-winged blackbirds race by. One has grass for her nest. Under the pond, a caddisfly larva builds a home of her own, a secret shelter of pebbles and sand. Over the pond, the shadows of trees lean out from the shore. We coast under a low-hanging branch. A moose looks up with a mouthful of water lilies. We've interrupted his lunch. I don't think we have moose around here. I know. Under the pond, beavers dive deep. They pump with powerful tails and rise to the surface with delectable roots from the mud. Over the pond, the wind gives a push and stirs the light dappled leaves on shore. There, on a branch, a new goldfish teeters, ready to fly. Under the pond, tadpoles are changing, learning to hop. They are losing their tails, growing legs, growing up. Over the pond, there at the shore, tall and silent and still, a great blue heron stares down into the deep. It tenses, takes one long-legged step, and strikes. It catches a wiggling quicksilver minnow from where it was hiding in the pond. We saw a heron when we were taking the kayak off the car. Over the pond we drift, heads tipped up to the sun. A woodpecker clings to a teetering pine, digging and drumming for ants. Under the pond, an otter claws for freshwater mussels. Over the pond, a sleepy dragonfly lands for a rest. His spindly legs tickle my knee. Under the pond, dragonfly larvae watch what swims by. They catch minnows in their monster-fast jaws. Over the pond, the shadows stretch. Ospreys circle on quiet wings. Raccoons and mink stalk the shoreline for supper. This is a mink. It's kind of like a weasel. We have a mink that likes to spend its winters in our shed. Under the pond, with a flip of a tail, a crayfish disappears in the dark. Over the pond, we head for home. We glide, swish, bump, right up to the shore as a far-off loon calls goodnight. The sky turns from sunset to dusk to dark. Night settles over the pond, the prowling catfish and drowsy turtles, the scuttling crayfish, the tadpoles turned frogs, the wading herons, and the raccoons. And the world hidden under the pond. And that's the end. So ponds and wetlands provide homes for lots of plants and animals. And when we have a group of plants and animals that live together like that, we call it an ecosystem. You know, there's the food chain that goes on. There are animals that work together and have cooperation and symbiosis. We've got carnivores and herbivores that live together at the pond. Sometimes they're the hunters, sometimes they're the hunted. And everything works together to live in balance. So we've been doing a lot with what lives above the pond. And now we're going to check out what lives below the pond. But like I said, the water is a lot cloudier this week than it's been in weeks past. because of that big storm that came through. So we'll cross our fingers. Maybe we'll get lucky. Okay, so this is a part of the pond that we don't often come to because it's not really fun to swim here because it's full of lily pads. And there's a little swampy section that Spencer likes to explore. Normally, it's full of tall reeds, but they've recently come and done some weed whacking and grass cutting. But I've been hearing a bullfrog. But what we'll do is, I've got my jars, and we will take a sample. Okay, so I've got my first jar, and I'm gonna reach in and I'm gonna scoop up some of this pond water where the area is very marshy and very sort of swampy. So there's my first jar, and we're gonna let the water settle, and we'll go to another part of the pond and get some water from there. We'll see what's living in that section. So this is from the swamp. So I'm gonna take us to the place where we first read our very first pond book, and you can really see some changes in this marsh. They had the people from the Parks Department trim back some of the rushes, and it really did change the way the animals are behaving. The birds are very unhappy. They have to start building their nests all over again. So I heard some birds in here. We'll have to see what happens when I coast up in here. Maybe some of them will fly out. So I've got my second jar, and we're going to take a sample from the marsh. So I just did a little scoop. This is our sample from the marsh. So we'll let that settle, and then we'll take a look and see what's in there. To the center for my last sample, and then I'm coming back in. Okay. So now we're pretty much in what Todd and I would consider the middle of the pond. And I'm going to take my third jar and dip it in and fill it up. Here's our sample from the center of the pond. Clip that in. And then we'll go back to the beach. I'll take a sample. I'll take our fourth sample from the beach, and then we'll see what we got in each section of the pond. So you can see already with our first three samples, there's a difference. But let's wait till we get that fourth sample. Oh, look, we're getting a greeting. Here comes Spencer. Hello. Are you gonna come swim out to me? I doubt it. Don't drink the pond water. We're about to learn what's in it. Don't drink that pond water. Dad has water for you. I said we're about to learn what's in it. How was your walk? Yeah, give him water because, like I said, we're just about to find out what's in it. So we have our last jar, which I've labeled shore or beach. There's not really a beach here, but there is the place close to where the land meets. And we'll take our last sample from there. Okay. So this is our last sample from the shore. We'll give that a chance to settle. So these are our 4 samples. We took the first one from that swamp that had all the lily pads. The second one we took from the marsh where we saw all of the birds. The third one came from the center of the pond. And this last one came from the beach area where we go in and out with our kayak. So they've had some time to settle, and I'm already seeing some life in this water, which is why we tell Spencer, don't drink the pond water, because there's things that live in it. So you can see it's sort of settled. The swamp water is still cloudy, but I did see something I thought was, oh, there he is, a whirligig beetle. See that little thing? He keeps trying to get away. So you could use your magnifying glass, but I'm going to use the zoom feature so you can see, even in water that looks clear, we've got these little tiny living organisms. There's a bunch in there, much more than I could see when I was just using my regular eye. I had to use my magnifying feature. See, there's another one. Todd, you want to come and see? It's pretty cool. And up at the top, there's all these little guys. And of course, we left our field guide at home, so we'll have to look them up when we get back. But there's a lot of living creatures in this, and this one is from what I call the swamp. That's where Spencer usually tries to chase his frogs. Now we'll take a look at this marsh water. There's lots of dogs here at the pond today. So this is the marsh. Somebody's dog is being naughty. That dog just wanted to jump right in. There, we'll watch the dog chase the stick. Look at that dog swimming. So I'm glad we got our samples before everybody's dogs came. So this is the marsh. That's where we found all the birds and some of the dragonflies. So you can see this pond water is a lot clearer than the swamp water, even though we got the swamp water first. The marsh water is definitely clearer. And let's see if it's got the same or different organisms than we found in I did see some things before. We're gonna just have to be patient and find them again. With some glue. Let's see. Oh, there goes something along the bottom. There he goes. Oh, look at that. That looks like maybe a nymph of some kind. I'm wondering if that's maybe a dragonfly nymph. It looks like the thing that's in the picture from our field guide. Todd, come take a look at this thing. Looks like an alien. See it right there? Mm-hmm. If it is a dragonfly nymph, we have to make sure we let it back in the pond because dragonfly nymphs are carnivores, and it needs little fish to eat. Pretty neat. right, so now comes the easy one. This is from the center of the pond. And you can see I couldn't really reach down deep in the middle of the pond, but that definitely has the clearest water of all. Nothing much in here. And then we'll do our beach water. Now that's the water we just picked out. And I thought I got some sort of fish, but take a peek. Oh, I see something. So yeah, it looks like, oh, yeah, look, if you look along the bottom. So we've definitely got little plankton. Look, there's a little whirligig beetle swimming along there. They do swim in loops, that's pretty funny. So if you have vacation coming up, look, there's a little fish of some sort. A couple of them. So I really think this is interesting because even out of the one pond, there's at least 4 different microenvironments. So if you have a vacation coming up, even if you just stay around and you have a pond in your town, like Montvale has a little pond in the middle of its town, go and do this. Pick a couple jars, go to a couple different sections, and see what you can see, because I did not think this was going to be as cool as it did. It actually turned out way better than I thought. So science on, my friends. Be good. I'm going to say goodbye, Spence. Say bye, Spence. Yeah.